Welcome back to another episode of Diggity Podcast. I'm here joined by the lovely Evan. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Jeff said, fuck Elden Ring. I'm not going to talk about it. He's not going to be here. No, he got caught up in some work stuff, so Evan was kind enough to join me tonight, and I appreciate him more than he will ever know.
Woke up at 6:30 from a nap to a text of like, hey, buddy, you want to hop on the show tonight? And I was like, I thought that was work. I was like, wait, what show? I was like, no, it's Brody.
I will hop on a show, but I am not coming into work.
Oh, yeah. If there was any question, if it was a work question, I was blocking the number. It's not even paying attention to it.
So a little housekeeping right off the bat here. We are on Twitter and also on Instagram at Diggity Podcast. And of course, we are part of a wonderful network called Spawn Camp, and Spawn Camp is located everywhere as well. Twitter, Instagram at Spawn Camp Co. Please follow us and follow the network, and also follow all of the wonderful shows like WASD, where Evan hails from most of the time.
Yes,
most of the time, yes. If you also have a hankering for some gunpla and some anime, definitely go check out the Build Bros. And of course, we have OBO, our kind of off-topic, just absolutely batshit insane podcast as well.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun with OBO, but it is definitely a wild ride. Don't listen to it around children.
How vulgar can we make it each week is kind of the question that we have.
And we
what can we talk about?
Tend to make it somehow worse when Nick isn't even there, and that's always impressive.
You'd think that it would be worse when he is there, but it's almost like we recognize he's not there, so we all have to pick up the slack in a way, but then we go overshoot it, and we're like, oh, because we don't have all the stories that he's got, so.
But please go and like and follow us, and also leave us some reviews. We are all over, any podcast platform you can imagine. We're also on YouTube, obviously. We really would love to have your subscription there, and all of our podcasts now under Spawn Camp will be streaming, or not streaming, but will be uploading to YouTube under Spawn Camp Co, as well as Twitch. So we've been obviously rebranding a little bit. If you've been following us for a while now, you kind of understand what's going on. It's still crazy. It's still a mess. We're still figuring it out ourselves. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out, and hopefully we can explain it better. But four really fun podcasts all under one roof, and we would love to have your support in all this. That being said, go ahead, Evan.
My Twitter DMs are awfully dry, so if you have any questions about Spawn Camp, hit me up there. I can say it at the end of the show.
Moisten those Twitter DMs.
Yes, please. That's disgusting. That was terrible.
Gross. I take that back, please.
I felt gross hearing it. I felt like I had to take a shower. I just finished taking a shower. I think I got to go back.
Before I say anything else fucking stupid, let's get into this. Evan, what have you been playing, my friend?
Okay, recently I've been playing a lot of BioShock. Ooh, nice. I just finished BioShock 1 2 days ago, and I started 2 tonight. Already played them. I played them when I was a kid. They were probably some of the first games I really played that were story-based, they were like original things, right? Like a lot of the other stuff that I'd heard of that I wanted to play that were story was like GTA, but GTA had been out for years before I was really, sharp enough to understand what it was, and same thing with that. So BioShock came out, and my dad and I were both like, this is interesting. And it was hailed as one of the, best games of its generation, of its time. And it still holds up. Just when I was playing it, recognized that it came out in 2007, 2008. It was for the original Xbox 360, if I'm not mistaken.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out real quick. It always shows me just that though. Yeah. It was August 1st, 2007, or August 21st. Sorry. But, playing it again, I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is holding up. I played the remastered version, so they all were running great and no real bugs or anything to speak of. But it was just the story itself and the levels, and it did get a little bit repetitive towards the end. I hated the ending in the sense of that whole escort mission that you have to do, right? I was like, come on, man. I'm like, it's so tedious. But it was just like one of those things where I had to tough it out. And I knew the ending, obviously. I'd already played it. But I really loved it, and now playing the second one, I'm enjoying it too. I plan on playing Infinite and then all the Burial at Sea DLC when I'm done with that, and then on the other end, I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike. Just
Nice.
like the complete opposite of it. I've been playing Counter-Strike when I've been feeling competitive, and then when I get angry or upset or I lose too much, I go and play BioShock, where I can just chill out and relax and just kind of get sucked into the story and the world and everything like that. So yeah, that's kind of been it for me. Nothing crazy.
So I love
So
BioShock. That is one of my favorite game series ever. It's definitely up there. Now Counter Strike I have never played, which is I know
good. Don't.
is crazy, but I just recently got into the whole PC gaming thing. So Counter Strike has I have it. I think I even have it downloaded, but I just never.
It's free to
played
play
it.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I even bought it before it went free to play, like while back.
Oh, did you?
And
Yeah.
I just never got around to it. It was kind of one of those things. I'm like, I feel like I'm way too late to the game to get into this now. Also, I'm really bad with mouse and keyboard, so
Right.
probably not the game to try to jump into now.
And it's not very forgiving as a
No.
PC shooter, where you've got like COD now and Battlefield, and those games are somewhat, even Overwatch I'd say is somewhat forgiving in that sense, where there's aiming and like you can actually, there's a little bit more involved in it. I mean, Overwatch doesn't have aiming and everything, but I mean, there is an ADS component for some characters, and obviously Battlefield and COD have it. But CS is one of those games where it's like you can't ADS for anything, and it's all about your movement and your spray control, and it's just still unique in that regard. And it's fun being a player who has had it since the game has come out, and then I have a decent amount of time on it, not as much as most of the other people that I play with or know. I have 1,700 hours on it, whereas most of the people I know have over 4,000.
Holy shit! that's a lot.
Which is hilarious. It's fun playing a game like that over time because you get to watch the insults change. Before it was just your hours, because Steam didn't have a way at the time really to hide your hours for games on your profile, so people would just look at your profile and they'd be like, oh, unless your profile was private, but some people didn't have it, so they would just type some mean thing about how many hours you had. And then the 5-year coin came out for people who had owned the game for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to that. You had a 5-year coin, but you still suck. You're still bottom of the leaderboard. Now I have a 10-year coin because I've owned the game for 10 years. So now that comes in where they go, 10-year coin, you still suck. I'm kicking their ass in terms of KD. We're winning the game, but I somehow am still bad. And it's like, I want to tell them, like, right. 10, like, if you do the math, 1,700 hours is not 10 years. I don't think it's even 5.
Right.
So you have the coin because Steam recognizes you've owned the game for 10 years. You had it in your library for that long. People forget about that. They don't even care. They're just like, you're stupid, and this and this. So it's fun watching the insults change. But I mean, the game is still the same. I mean, it's and that's a comforting thing about it, right? With Overwatch, you come back every couple of months, something new is different, like, or something has changed. Somebody's abilities are different. Yep. Yeah, somebody's weaker, somebody's stronger. You can come back to CS and that AKs are going to one tap if you hit them in the head. Ops are going to usually always be a one hit kill. Like, it's comforting to come back and remember that stuff. And playing it again, it's like, feel like a kid. I go right back to the same positions and do the same thing. And then I've been pretty good. I've been doing pretty well, kicking ass and stuff like that. And then with what I might be doing in the future, it's important to know what I'm going to be like helping other people learn. Right. So yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. And then I have BioShock for whenever I get too upset.
need a break from the competitiveness.
Need a breather.
Yeah, fair enough. So I've been playing a lot of different things. So obviously Elden Ring was releasing this week, or released tonight. So I went in on a game called Mortal Shell, which is basically a love letter to Dark Souls type games, Souls games. It's tough. It is actually made by a much smaller studio, so there's kind of, I feel like some of the controls and some of the various different like animations and stuff are a little bit laggy. They're not quite as tight as something from Software. But I just wanted to kind of dip my toes into that because I've never been big on Souls games. So Elden Ring was going to be really my first one that I actually put some time into. And so I just kind of wanted to try something. And I believe I have Dark Souls 3, and then I have Bloodborne as well. But both my PlayStation and my Xbox were taken up by my kiddos, so I was like, hey, I got the PC, I'm gonna play Mortal Shell because it was on Game Pass.
Oh yeah, sure, makes sense.
It's not bad. It's actually kind of a cool concept. Some of the things that they've done there, obviously a very big love letter to the Dark Souls series. But
Okay.
yeah, I feel like some things could use a little bit of an adjustment to kind of tighten it up a little bit. But
Sure, yeah.
I know a lot of people that are big fans of Souls games really do enjoy Mortal Shell. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so it could also just be me being terrible.
Right. Yeah, you have no idea.
Right, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I played about an hour of Total War Warhammer 3. Basically
Okay.
just enough to kind of get through the tutorial and kind of get a feel for that.
What'd you think?
I don't think it's for me. I really
No?
don't. It's cool. It's very pretty. But I don't think that kind of scale of like an RTS game is something I'm super interested in.
It's grand strategy, right? So it's a bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's not like Civ, where Civ is very
right.
Yeah, simple in that regard. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like obviously, I mean, for what it is, it's fantastic. I just don't think it's a series that or game type really that is speaking to me, at least not at this moment. Like I may kind of venture into it again later, but it wasn't really in the vein of anything I was interested in playing this week. I just wanted to try it so I could kind of briefly talk about it, and it's a beautiful game, and it ran very well. I didn't have any issues or anything, but it was just not hitting that spot. I played some Ollie Ollie World on my Switch, which was a lot of fun. That game is just kind of this goofy 2D skateboarding game. It's pretty fun. Some of the challenges in there are really, really difficult. But I'm also a completionist, so I don't like to move on until I've actually done most of the challenges or something.
Finish it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was kind of one of those things that I'm like, I'll play it for a little bit here and there, and then I bounce out of it. I went very, very deep into Cuphead this week as well on my Switch. I had it on Xbox. I picked it up on Switch now just because it seemed like a good game to kind of pick up and play in spurts and get really frustrated at while I was laying in bed, things like that. But I think I'm at 36% of the way through it. I made it to the second island or the second part of the world or whatever.
I haven't gotten that far yet. That's another game that I've been playing here and there too is Cuphead. I've beaten a couple of the first bosses, but I have not gotten to the end of the first world. I'm still fighting the Zeppelin lady, and then I think the one plant, the flower.
Yep.
I think I have to fight both those, and then whoever there's I think a third or final one that I got to beat too. I can't remember. But I've gotten through most of the world other than just those bosses. I've done the little side like the mausoleum and like the other little things. But yeah.
God, that game is awesome. I really, really adore that game. It is challenging, it is frustrating, but it is so good. I mean, the art style alone is such a huge part of it that is just it keeps me into the game even when I am frustrated. Now the flower one that you're talking about, that one took me a while to beat. The second world so far, I have beat one of the bosses and one of the run and guns, and then the mausoleum. And then the other bosses have been very difficult so far. They just get harder, and there's like more stages to them, so you got to kind of make it so far in order to kind of learn it, and even then it's like you'll get hit by some bullshit and it'll just completely mess up the entire run. You're like, God.
Yeah, I've gotten all the way to the end of the Zeppelin, and then she just does one ability or one thing, or I miss something, and I only have one health point left, and then I die. That's why I've left to beat too. I have her, the flower, and then I think Ribby and Croaks, the two frogs.
Yep.
Who I haven't fought them yet, but I mean, just from their episode in the TV show, not going to be a fun time.
It's not that bad. I think I beat it on my second go. Granted, I had played it before when I was playing on my Switch. So on my Xbox. So that one I kind of already knew the ins and outs of. Honestly, the whole first world I pretty much knew the ins and outs of. I think I was like a couple bosses away from getting to the second world, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely it's a good game, but it's also a game that will make you want to pull your hair out if I had hair, so I have to go to the beard. I jumped
Hey
back.
man, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to pull it from somewhere, right?
I
Yeah.
I have a whole list of games this week. Sorry. I
No,
played
you're good. Yeah.
Halo as well. I jumped back into that because I wanted. They have that Tenrai event going on again this week.
To get the armor.
Yep. And
okay. Yeah.
I think I started this week at like level 19 in that. So I really want to get to the end of it just because I want the katana belt piece that you can get, that attachment. And then
cool.
I also want that demon mask. The demon mask is really cool. Probably will never use it, but regardless, I want it because I like to collect things. So, but I believe after this week, there's 2 more scheduled events of this event. So one way or another, I should be able to make it there. But I was gonna see if I could get pretty far. That way, the next 2 events, all I have to do is a couple challenges, and I should be there.
Right.
But I just jumped into that last night and played for like an hour and a half, and went up to, I think I finished at like level 23 in that event. But I've already maxed out the battle pass, so doing any of the other challenges rewards nothing to me. So it's like, man, and the way they have it where you can't just do event challenges and then go from there is kind of frustrating. The way you have to actually do the regular challenges to unlock more of the event challenges, that to me is kind of dumb. I wish they would get rid of that and just let you do what you wanted to do.
Right. I got to do that too because I bought the battle pass and I have not played it, so I need to get that money's worth back of actually going through the levels because I want that armor too. I think it's pretty sweet. So I'd like to be able to get it at some point, but I get so frustrated with it so fast.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good at Halo games. I've never been. Like, I'm not good at the bullet sponginess of things, and I feel like I'm pumping I'm pumping bullets into people, and then I die in like 3 bursts.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's why I typically play Tactical Slayer, just because it's easier, just headshots.
Yep.
That's all that, so that's easier for me. But when it comes to like big team battle or just regular Slayer, I'm just terrible at it. I can't. Yeah. It's one of those games where I'll admit every day I am not good at Halo. Like I've never been good at it, and I got to applaud honestly the professional players who can play it very well because I cannot, and I for the life of me do not understand how they do it. Blows my mind. But
this Halo is actually the first Halo I've gotten into since like Halo 3, really. So
same here, really.
Halo 5 I could not get into for the life of me. Halo 4, I mean there was some aspects of it I enjoyed, but as far as multiplayer, like since Halo 3, this is really about it. And I actually tend to do pretty decent in this one, but I, again, am playing usually controller because... So when I do play on PC, it seems like the matchmaking will recognize that I'm playing on PC, and it kind of fucks with that a little bit, and then I'll get my ass kicked. But if I play on console, I usually do pretty good, as long as I'm matching up with controller players.
Right, yeah.
But
that's a good point too, because playing with controller players on Halo is difficult. I mean, just because I've heard from people that like the aim assist that they give you on controller is so helpful. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like it's almost like an incentive to use a controller on PC instead of using keyboard and mouse, because it's like, I mean, you would know better about that, right? But I've heard from other people like that they prefer controller anyway. So it all kind of depends. I'm not a controller player. I use controllers for just any game I have to play on a PlayStation, that is a single player story that I'm interested in. So the Spider-Man games, Last of Us, Uncharted, I use a controller for those. If they come to PC, I'll use a keyboard and mouse if it works better. But like God of War came to PC, and I tried keyboard and mouse, and I was like, no way. I was like, I'd rather use a controller.
Something like that doesn't lend itself great to mouse and keyboard.
It doesn't. But yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, we need to play more Halo because you've got a PC now. We all need to start playing that more. We've got the crew.
Might
as well do it.
Yeah, with the Halo like aim assist on controller, it's funny because all the mouse and keyboard players are bitching about the controller players, and controller players are bitching about mouse and keyboard players. So it's like this huge toss up on. It just depends on what side you actually fall under, right? But I tend to have issues if I try to play controller on PC, just because the reaction time is so much quicker on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah,
you can actually fucking 360 like right now, and
it's
no big deal, right? On controller, getting there.
It's like, no, I get it. That's crazy, but I'm trying to get better with my reaction times too, just because of Counter-Strike, and I have pretty good reaction time still for an old 22-year-old in the world of, competitive gaming. Like I'm an old
where
man,
everybody's
but
like 16 to 18 years old. Yeah.
watch my brother play who's 17, and it's like I'm watching him and it's like almost times where I just want to ask him like, do you want to 1v1 me real quick just so I know if I'm good still? like if I kick your ass, I'm gonna feel really good, but then when you beat me, I'm like not gonna play my computer for the rest of the week just because I'm gonna be annoyed that it's like I'm not even that much. I'm only 5 years older than you, but you are miles ahead of what I was when I was your age. You know, so. But
I'm approaching 30, and my reaction time is not getting any faster. I can tell you that right now.
It doesn't get much better from there. I've watched my dad play Warzone. He's almost 50, and he's turning 50 this year. And I'll watch him because we have the computers right next to each other.
Yeah.
And I'll look over there when I'm talking to you guys, and I'm watching him play for like a couple minutes, and I see a guy run across this. He runs across the screen, and this guy runs this way, and my dad slowly moves the mouse over, and I'm like, holy shit, Dad, he's right there. Move faster. I'm like, stop going so slow. Like, this is why you're not winning.
Yeah.
But he's pretty good.
So
the 50-year-old
for an old man. I don't mean a big
Connor said that when he played with him. He's like, yeah, he wasn't too bad, but he wasn't the best either. I was like, remember how old he is?
Right.
Like, remember he's almost 50. So like I almost am impressed.
Right.
Like, that he's still playing Warzone, which is like where he plays it, and I tell him like it's probably not good for your blood pressure. Like you probably shouldn't be playing it. Yeah, no, it's not good.
I've actually played 2 more games this week, and I won't talk about them too much. One of them I'm going to talk about a lot, but that's not part of this segment. So Lost Ark. I've been playing still quite a bit of Lost Ark. I enjoy it. It's kind of one of those games I can hop in the Discord with you guys, turn my brain off, and just grind.
Just grind it, yeah.
I'm sure some people would be pissed, but I'm skipping all the story stuff. I really don't care. I just want the Diablo gameplay and just loot and stab a bunch of stuff and move along.
Loot goblin gameplay.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't need much more than that. Sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and just grind the hell out of it. So it's great to just hop in the Discord and I can, talk to you guys and joke around and stuff and not have to like focus so intently on what I'm doing.
Sure.
And then the last game that I've been playing is Elden Ring, and I will talk about that here in just a little bit. Actually, probably here very, very shortly. But yeah, Elden Ring it came out about 4 hours ago. So
a couple hours ago.
I have about a half hour into the character creator because I love that shit, and about an hour of gameplay so far. So I guess we'll actually just go ahead and talk about Elden Ring while we're here, right? And then move into some of the other stuff. So Elden Ring so far, again, I am not a Souls player by any means.
Neither am I. Full disclosure, yeah.
Yeah, Nick would be perfect to have for talking about this game, and I'm sure we'll have him on at some point to talk about it. But he also, I think, is just now starting it tonight as well. I don't think
he got on 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, so he made it out of the character creator maybe a half hour ago, and is just now starting to wander around. So the big thing about this, I mean, again, not a Souls player, but from what I understand, Souls games are typically pretty linear. I mean, they have their dungeons where you can kind of wander around to some extent. This is the first one that is open world. This world is fucking massive. It is huge. Immediately from the get-go, like, you start seeing things that people, how they can leave messages and stuff, and I right off the bat noticed that everybody is a troll. Just absolutely a troll.
I'm sure.
It's like, hey, try
jumping.
Death
Stranding.
Yeah. They're like,
Death Stranding was usually pretty helpful. Like people could leave the like Dark Souls, they could leave messages and they would be helpful. They'd be like, watch out, there's BTs over here. But like, I mean, that's something where I'd expect it from Souls players.
Right.
They're like, I'm suffering. I just want to make you suffering more because then I feel like I'm winning. Like, I totally get it.
I'm sure there are some helpful messages in there, but right off the get-go, I mean, you get that item that lets you write messages immediately, and so you're wandering around, and it'll be like right by by a cliff or something, it'd be like, try jumping, and you're like, ah. Or if there's like a place you could walk around and it's like boss ahead and there's no boss, or there's like, hey, there's no item over here, and there's actually not. Surprisingly enough, I figured they would be trolling.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to listen to them anyway. But yeah, that kind of thing it's interesting, and I find myself clicking on all these messages because I want to see what they have to say, and 9 times out of 10 it is absolutely worthless. They also have put some of these messages on things that you need to interact with, and it kind of is a weird thing where it doesn't let you interact with what you need to properly, and that I find that a little annoying. Which
absolutely.
I'm sure there's a way to like dismiss that or something, but it is really, really I see how that could be useful. I see how it could be fun, and that openness to the community is really cool, to where you can like interact with people you've never fucking met, you may never meet. You see other like ghost people running around as they're trying to, do their thing, and you see them fighting enemies or whatever.
I saw that on Matt's gameplay. He was streaming it earlier in the Discord, and I was seeing people, run behind him. And I remember seeing that from older Dark Souls games and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's cool that it's still there. And I mean, I'll probably pick it up, if not today, then maybe tomorrow, because I'm interested to try it, mostly because of the hype around it. I mean, you're not a Souls-like guy, and it's like where I almost feel that same sort of like, almost like that obligation where it's like, maybe I should, just because I'm on podcasts about video games, and this is huge in terms of podcasts,
That's why
in terms of video game
up.
stuff. So like I feel like I should have some sort of knowledge in the least of it. But I mean, I'm interested to try it. I was watching Matt play it earlier, and it seemed fun. Yeah. But I mean, I don't hate difficult games. Right. I hate games that are more so like difficult just to be difficult.
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
Cuphead, I like, even though it's a difficult game, but it's because of the other things that suck me into it. So if Elden Ring has that, where it's like, it's the beauty or it's the story or whatever, and I hope the story is somewhat good, because George R.R. Martin had a hand in it, I guess. And, we all know how good he is at ending shows. Well, not his fault. Not his fault. I was like, his fault. But I thought there was a little joke there. I wanted to play it. But I mean, I'm interested in trying it out just for the story, and it does look pretty. Watching Matt play it looked great, but he had to lower some settings because it wasn't running too well.
Well, and from what I understand, the PC version does have some issues right now, regardless of what settings you are running it at. It just universally has some issues that some of the day one patch fixed, but not all of it. So,
did you post that? You posted that video yesterday about like, should you buy or whatever, try before you buy. And I was watching it, and he was like, the guy said he noticed like steady frame rate dropping after like 5 hours of play. So I was like, okay, that's weird in the sense of like, I left BioShock on for an entire night the other day, and I came back and it was running fine. So, I mean, obviously dated game, different. So it's, who knows how it'd be if it was the same, if I left Warzone on. If I left Warzone on for 12 hours, my computer would be dead now.
I was going to say your computer would catch fire.
I'd like be at work, and my dad would call me and be like, hey, so you don't have a computer anymore. It's like, what what? He's like, yeah, I also don't have any of my computers now, so you're paying for that. I'd be like, well, I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life. So thanks for that, Big Neil. But okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised by that almost in terms of it having PC-only issues.
Yeah, it has some memory leak issues from what it seems like. But also, the weird thing to me was I never had any stutters while I was in combat. All of my stutters were while I was just running around the map.
Well, that's good. I mean, you don't want them in combat.
Yeah, I don't want them so far. I mean, granted, I also have been avoiding combat, and I'll explain that here in a minute of why I was avoiding combat for the most part. But I started as I can't remember. I meant to make a note of what class I chose, but it was a class that was pretty well rounded. Start in like full monk robes basically, and you have abilities, or you start with a sword and shield, and then you also have the you have high faith as well as like a couple other things, but overall it seemed like the most well-rounded, and I knew I wanted to run probably one sword and one hand magic type of deal. Because especially right off the get-go, I found out I am god-awful at parrying in this game, and I cannot seem to figure out the timing, so that's going to be something I got to get a handle on, or I'm just going to continue to dodge like all of the memes that you see.
Confessor?
Yes.
Is that what you chose? Okay. I did not realize there were this many classes. Holy shit.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah. Okay.
I spent a decent amount of time in the character creator. It is a very good character creator, and I would have spent probably more time in it if it wasn't for the fact that I needed to play it so I could talk about it. I thoroughly love character creators, though, and this one's fairly robust. I mean, your character is not the most beautiful thing in the world, but I'm sure you could make it pretty decent, but I would say there's a lot of good options there. You could make your character as ugly as you want, or, I mean, I think the dude I finally settled on was like actually a pretty decent looking human being. Like, he looks like a human, so I was okay with that.
Oh, well, that's important. I was
Some
gonna say,
games
can you make
you
them
walk
look
away
like
and
a
you're like,
Chad?
man, this person's still just uglier than
This,
Sid.
just doesn't. Yeah, I get it.
But this one, you can actually make a pretty competent human being.
Good.
That's
good.
I don't know if this is a staple of the Souls series, but the first boss you run in there and you go to fight, immediately lose to, and the fact that it loads up something after that and it's like you're in a different place, I assume that's just part of it, because it also happened in Mortal Shell to me, and I was like, is this something? Because I cannot beat this guy. If this is how hard
some
this is going to be,
yeah, something that like they're
like
just
you're
doing or they've
to
done.
lose. I'm like, if this is how hard this game's going to be, I'm fucked, because there is no way. But I got my ass kicked, of course, and then I saw the cutscene there, and you load up in a new place. I'm like, oh, okay, I think this was supposed to happen. I think this was designed to make you lose no matter what. Because I think I even hit it, and I don't even think I took any health out of its health bar. I could be totally wrong, but it happened so fast.
Or it was so little you might not have noticed. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because there are other games that do that where it's like you go into the fight normal thinking it's a normal fight, and then you just get your ass beat. They're just way too, or like there's no way you could win. And then I can't remember, there was a game I remember I'd always play the beginning fight because you could beat them, and I wanted to beat them because I was like, so cool, but like you weren't, if you didn't, that's totally like, that was the point, you weren't supposed to win. But like there was a part of me who was like, I really just want to do it because I'll feel so good that if I actually get them. I was never able to do it, but like I could see that being a Souls trope where it's like, fight the first boss, get your ass kicked, and realize what you're in for the next 45 hours.
It seems like that's long the game is, right? Because again, Mortal Shell did it, and that's supposed to be a love letter to Dark Souls fans. So I assume so that maybe was that's just a thing.
Yeah, I can see it.
But I also thought the same thing when I played Mortal Shell the first time. I'm like, oh shit, I am so screwed.
I get it.
But I mean, you eventually, after that first like boss, this is not spoilers, this is like 10 minutes into the game. It's not a big deal, right? I have only played an hour. I don't even have enough time under my belt to spoil anything.
There you go. Yeah.
But the cave you start out in, it really kind of lends itself to showing you what the game is going to offer, right? So you end up in this cave, and you can basically mainline this and run right out and be good to go, or there's like a little path you can go, and it has like a mini boss at the end of it and things like that, where, hey, this is cool. Like, this is an example of going off the beaten path. Granted, I don't think I got anything incredible from it, but it was just kind of a cool thing to see.
Right.
Immediately after that, you open up into that main world, right? Where you see the big glowing tree and all the trailers and everything like that. So you walk out here, and I did not go to the like save point, essentially. I'm drawing a blank on what they call it, but a glory something or another, not a glory hole, very different thing.
OBO topic.
That's we'll talk about that on OBO.
Making a note for Monday's show.
I didn't see that there, and I just kind of ran past it. I was not familiar with that whole thing. Again, not familiar with this kind of game, so I just started exploring and wandering off and like just kind of seeing what I could find. Ended up in this cave and opened up a chest, and it teleported me to a cave basically that is more for like not quite end game, but much later in the game when you were significantly more leveled up. Didn't realize that. Went on to die about 4 to 5 times before I looked it up online. Thank God somebody already wrote something about this 6 hours ago. So I ended up finding it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Because I'm starting. I still have starting gear. I don't have anything. I haven't leveled up. I haven't done shit, right? And got my ass kicked. Found out you basically have to sneak out of this. Well, then once you pop out of this cave, you're still in a very high level zone. So then you have to sneak around and go to an entirely different, like, find one of these glory spots again. You rest at the glory spot, and then you can finally teleport back to the start. And so this was a absolute disaster. It took me I spent most of my time in this difficult area just trying to get out of there without dying. It took me like every bit of a half an hour to 45 minutes to finally make it out.
Oh man. Jesus.
So my initial thoughts are a little skewed as to what I'm really getting into. I'm much more excited to stay in an area that is I have the ability to actually get through and I feel competent in. But I will say the world is very beautiful. There's a lot of cool enemies already, and I have not even seen half of them. There's a lot of really cool things going on here. I feel like I can get into this combat system. It's going to take me some time to learn, and it's going to take me some time to kind of not even master, just become halfway competent with. Some of the control scheme stuff is a little goofy in my mind, but it's not terrible, and I can get used to it. But ultimately, I'm really enjoying this. But that underleveled zone, good. I didn't even have my horse yet, so I couldn't traverse quickly. I couldn't run past waves of people. Like, I literally had to fight my way or sneak my way around everything. Adding a sneak to this game is fantastic because it allows you to get through some things.
Is stealth good or fun or anything like that? Because I'm typically I'm a stealth player, Sam Fisher all the way kind of thing. So like I love to be stealthy if I can.
I am not big on stealth typically, but I will say in a game like this, I feel like it is going to be a great addition that will make it not more bearable, but a little bit more friendly. Like if you want to get past something a little bit quicker, or you're sneaking into a place that you should not be because you're underleveled, you may be able to actually kind of get around some things. But definitely enjoying what I have played of it so far. I need to definitely give it a lot more time, and I will over the next week. And next week I will talk about it a lot more. But I just kind of want to give my initial impressions. Everybody is giving this fantastic ratings. Like I have not seen anything below a 9, I don't think. Most of it has been 9s or 10s. I mean,
I've heard very good. Yeah, I've seen very good reviews and everything. So that bodes well, right?
Yeah, and there are some technical issues, but it's launch. Hopefully, they'll patch some of this stuff in and get it kind of in a better working order. But even as it stands now, it's not unplayable by any means. There's some problems, but it's certainly not unplayable.
Yeah. I mean, and look at it from that perspective too, though, right? Like, so many games, especially like AAA titles, come out now that aren't playable. You know, you got especially multiplayer ones like the Dumpster Fire that remains to still be burning 2042, as well as, you know, other single player games, Cyberpunk, you know, and stuff. So to hear that like reviews have all been really positive, and there's a couple issues here and there, I'll take that, right? Like mitigate as many issues as you can. Halo Infinite was a great example too, where it's like, sure, there might have still been some bugs, but everything ran smooth. There was no crazy wacky things like Nick posted in the Discord earlier today about the chick's eyebrows and Cyberpunk that says do not use in game. It's like, come on guys, it's been like 2 years now. Or like I found that image a couple months or like a year and a half ago of a street sign in Cyberpunk that said changeable copy or something like that. It was like add text when available. And it's like, guys, come on. Like it's a street sign. Like that's not, I mean, it's something you might not even notice, but when you do notice it, it's like, well, you didn't pay much attention. That's good. I like the idea of a stealth mechanic because I'm a stealthy player at heart, but I'm not a stealthy player to avoid things. I'm a stealthy player to kill the things that are there. Like
Right.
I don't like to just sneak around enemies. I usually like to, especially in a game like Elden Ring, where it seems like you'll get benefits or maybe loot or whatever from killing people.
Yeah.
So I'll always take a stealth approach to that, just because it's easier to do that, where you can, almost like I'm not going to say the word because I can't get it out of my brain right now. I don't know why. I'm not very good at English today. But like, it's easier to just go and focus on one enemy that you want to take out and just kind of like, is there like a throwing a rock or something like that, like to lead an enemy away from people, or is it just kind of like you can just purely go through? Do you not know?
Not that I'm aware of so far.
Okay.
I get it. I have not done enough to really justify anything except for run with my tail between my legs type of thing.
Which is what I think a lot of people have expected or waited for.
Right.
But that's cool though, because I like stealth, and I like being a stealthy player, especially when it comes to games that might be particularly more difficult, just because it allows me to easily go, okay, this is the big bad, so I'm going to take out all of his little guys first as quietly as I can without getting into a huge fight, and then kind of make it a bit easier on myself, rather than just be like a tanky class who's like, yeah, let's just fucking go at it and, fight 10 people at once. Like, I can't, it depends on the game. If I'm really good at it, it's like a shooter like Far Cry. It's like, yeah, then I'll just run into an outpost and just start taking people out. But if it's like I get a bigger benefit from being quiet, then I'm going to do it. Or if like, yeah, like especially in something like Elden Ring where I can mitigate the suffering I will have, then I'm totally going to do it. But that's good. That bodes well.
I had to make sure I picked a class that was a little bit tankier. It's not fully tank, but definitely a little tankier, because stealth is not my strong suit. Also, parrying or dodging is not my strong suit. I need to be able to at least tank a few hits, because I'm much more like probably the guy running in with a great sword and just trying to fuck shit up. Like, do as much damage as quickly as I can, get tank a couple hits, and then hope for the best. But which is bizarre, because a lot of games I play healers too, which it's this weird dichotomy of which one am I going to be today?
Yeah, I'm more of a ranged character in a lot of games, especially RPGs. Like, I think I got shit from a friend of mine for being a ranged character in Skyrim. I was like, but you were
this stealth archer.
Yeah, I was a Khajiit who had a bow and arrow, and I just but I was like, I mean, I like ranged combat in that sense, and Skyrim doesn't really work out for me in that way, though. It doesn't feel the same, or it didn't feel very good being an archer. It just didn't work, like, just gameplay wise. But I like being an archer. Or I like being somewhat of a ranged class, or if I can be a faster melee class. I'm not a huge tank guy. Like, tanks, as far as it goes for me, is I'm Roadhog in Overwatch, and I'm great at that. But there's nothing more like that I can really do in that regard. I've never been a tanky character or a tanky class kind of player. I always, like, even in like League or Smite, I'm typically more of an assassin, somebody who's quick and is just kind of high damage for a short period of time, just get a couple kills and then run back and heal or something like that. And I'm good at that role. Like, I've learned my place. I'm not a very good tank, and I don't know how to sit there and take damage, because in my brain, I take damage as run time. It's not time to stay and fight. It's time to leave. Like, go back as quick as I can. But okay, that's cool. I like that there's a stealth mechanic, and it seems like you've had fun with it aside from that little underworld part where you couldn't really escape. But
that was hell.
That's good.
Before we move on here, I did want to address. So Ed in our chat said that the patch is live for PC. I do have the patch downloaded. I will say there's still definitely issues. And that lines up with what I heard from some reviewers as well. Still definitely a lot of issues. Not a lot. I don't want to say that. There's still some frame rate issues and still some little things here and there. I'm sure they are well aware of it. I'm sure it will get patched at some point. I don't know how long that's going to be. But that patch it definitely did not fix all of the issues, but it did fix some of the major ones that I haven't even seen, right? I heard some people talk about them in early reviews, but it does seem like they got at least the major concerns out of the way. And some minor things left. So,
which is good.
So moving on to some real quick news here. We'll just blow through this. So the Xbox games with gold for March, you get the Flame in the Flood from March 1st through the 31st, Street Power Soccer from March 16th through April 15th, Sacred 2 Fallen Angel from March 1st to the 15th, and SpongeBob, sorry, I bit my tongue, SpongeBob's Truth or Square from March 16th to March 31st. I don't particularly care about any of these.
I don't know any of them. I recognize SpongeBob's Truth or Square, but I don't really remember playing it. I'm sure I did. I just don't. The other ones I have never heard of. Street Power Soccer almost sounds like Street Power Soccer sounds like that. What was that EA game that came out not too long ago that was dodgeball?
Knockout City.
Knockout City. It kind of sounds like that off the top of my like just
vibe,
yeah, similar thing. Like soccer superpowers and all that kind of stuff, and like crazy game modes and playgrounds. So like that's cool though. But I mean like Knockout City was fun. We played that for a short period of time. We really loved it. I mean, it's fun to be able to throw a ball at a buddy's head and just watch him get knocked off into infinity. So
absolutely,
just let you take out some of that anger. The Flame and the Flood sounds cool. Just reading the little description they've given,
it got a lot of popularity on the Switch, especially because it came out early enough when there wasn't a ton of games on the Switch. As we were kind of in that drought, it filled a void for a lot of people. But that's really the only one that is all right to me. I mean, the rest could be great. I just don't know them.
Same here.
Sacred 2, I've heard people talk about that, and they seem to like it, but I just don't know much about it personally. PlayStation Plus games for March. Ark Survival Evolved, Team Sonic Racing, Ghost Runner, and Ghost of Tsushima Legends. So the multiplayer component of Ghost of Tsushima, however you would like to say it. I'm pretty sure it's Tsushima, but
I have no idea.
Not too bad of a list here. I know Ghost Runner is supposed to be pretty challenging. I don't care about Team Sonic Racing. I'm pretty sure I already have that on Xbox for the kids or probably Switch too. I don't know. Ark is Ark. I mean, it's still
good if you like those games.
Still runs like shit.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, you gotta love it. I was never an Ark fan. I tried playing it, but I couldn't get over the optimization problems and just not being able to run it very well. It's like, and then I watch people play it on YouTube, and it's like, I mean, I guess it's cool to watch a dinosaur poop, pick up its poop, and then throw it at your friend. Like, that's interesting. I mean, that's definitely unique in terms of gameplay, but I mean, it's like, I don't really want to do it if I can't see it in high fidelity, 1440p, 60 FPS. Watch that turd fly through the air, right? I'd rather, like, I'm watching it on like a little, like a Nintendo DS or something like that. It's like, I'd rather be able to see high fidelity turd throwing. But maybe that's just not the world we're allowed to live in. I have not played the Legends. I've not played Legends.
I mean, the game story. I was gonna say the game is awesome.
It's good.
The multiplayer is really cool too. I played it early on when they did the you could get the armors from different games. Like they had the God of War armor and the Horizon Zero Dawn armor. I went through and unlocked, I believe, all of that and played quite a bit of the multiplayer. It is very cool. It plays somewhat similar to the main game, except for it's like shorter, smaller missions. And from when I played it, there wasn't a ton of variety at the point I was playing, at least. But there was still a decent amount of content there, and I played quite a bit in order to unlock all this armor. But very, very cool. I mean, for free, like, you can't beat this. This is awesome.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I've not played the multiplayer, but I do want to try it now that you told me about that. I wasn't like I didn't finish the story, so I didn't really want to play.
Oh, gotcha.
I want to finish the story, and I've been kind of lazy about it. Every time I load up my PlayStation, I end up playing Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh, nice.
So like, because I haven't finished that yet either, and I want to finish that before the second game or third game now comes out. It's called Spider-Man 2. So thanks for screwing it. It's like Battlefield 1 after Battlefield Hardline and 4, and I mean, I get
Miles is like your offshoot, right? But
right, and it was still just a good game. But it is definitely sort of like a
slightly
kind of like a branching branching over to here, and then we're gonna be able to go back. But I mean, that's cool. It's definitely a good list of games, better than the Xbox one. But I mean, I don't know a lot of the Xbox games, so
that
at the very least,
that's par for the course for Xbox lately, though.
Right? Yeah. Like I heard Ghost Runner was really good and challenging. I think I played the demo of it. I thought it was really cool. Obviously, Ghost of Tsushima was really fun as a story, and then Ark, I know what it is, but never played it. And Team Sonic is a game that I will not touch. I'm not a racing fan in that sense. I like Forza and F1 as my racing games usually. Burnout, if they ever make a return, please do.
Please do.
And that's it. I don't really play many other I don't even play like the Forza Motorsport games. I like only the Horizon stuff. I don't like the only track based stuff that I really will play is F1, and that's usually because I play with a buddy of ours, and it's just that's fun to me. Yeah. Everybody's kind of on even ground, right? Like there's no real the cars aren't different other than the fact of like, you know, what they look like are different and like just little individual setups, but they're more or less the same. So like I like that in terms of that, but I mean I don't want to play like Motorsport where I've got like a you know shitty beat up Ford and then there's like I'm dealing with like a BMW or something like that.
Right.
Like just as an example, I don't know. I don't play it. Yeah. But yeah.
So on to a little bit bigger piece of news here. So Bethesda is retiring their PC launcher and moving pretty much solely to Steam, and of course it's on Xbox as well, or Xbox app.
Good on ya.
Yeah. I am all for less launchers. I don't like having a ton of launchers installed onto my PC, so I have to load up various different things. I know there's things like GOG Galaxy where you can kind of boot everything up from there, but I think half the time it still takes you to the launcher, and then you, like it's still dumb, right?
There's no point. Yeah, there's no point to really have it like that.
Yeah, and now that they're under Xbox's wing, why not, right? Just take.
There's no point.
Yeah, just take everything over to Steam, and then of course the Xbox app as well, which is sometimes, but I would rather have that than Bethesda's launcher.
Sure, and I appreciate that they were like, you can still be on Steam, right? It's not going to be all Xbox exclusive because like that's I think something that EA did for before they started giving their games over to Steam, where it was like, yeah, you wanted to play Battlefield 4, you had to have Origin, and Origin just was not a good launcher compared to Steam. Yeah. I mean, nothing is really a good launcher compared to Steam. Steam has it, like Steam has absolutely. It down, and we talked about this before we started, where it's like even like. Like I told our buddies when Red Dead 2 was coming out on PC, I was like, just buy it through the Rockstar launcher. And they're like, why? And I was like, because if you buy it through Steam, you'll still have to install the Rockstar launcher. Right. And you'll have to load up two different things. So at the very least, like it's like I do not like having, especially developer only launchers. Yep. Like I didn't like the Bethesda one. I don't like the Rockstar one. It's just like, there's no point. What do you need it for? Yeah. Like, it's easier that way. And so like I get it where a lot of people are like, well, I like to have all my games in one place. It's like, sure, I totally understand that. That makes perfect sense. But then you're just going to have Steam open while you have Rockstar Game Launcher open, which is just two more things, or, you know, one more thing that you need when you could just have one. Yeah. So for PC players anyway, that's kind of, you know, depending, it might be a little bit important. Yeah. You don't want to have too many things open, right? Like you don't want to have Chrome, Streamlabs, Discord, and then like all these other things, 4 different launchers to play one game. Yeah. Something like that, right? It's not going to be very easy on your system after you load up the game, especially. But
this was what I like that. Wasn't even really going to talk about. And then I was talking to Nick earlier and he's like, hey, you got to mention this. I'm like, or he's like, don't forget about this. I'm like, but why do I need to talk about this? And he's like, well, a bunch of people are talking about it. I'm like, I felt like the writing was on the wall for this personally. Like this seems like the obvious move, right? You've been purchased by Xbox at this point. Do the same thing that all Xbox first party games are doing. You are in Xbox first party now. Just do that. Get rid of your shitty launcher and go to Steam, go to Xbox, call it a day. But
yeah, just it's easier. You're going to get, honestly, you're probably going to get more people buying your games. Yeah. Because there are going to be people like, there are people I'm sure who are like, oh, I really want to play Doom Eternal or Fallout 76, but I don't want to play on the Bethesda launcher, so I'm not going to do it. Like, yeah, absolutely. Guaranteed. I absolutely believe that there are people, I know people personally who are like, I'm not going to play this game because I don't want to have another launcher. I totally understand it. Like, it all depends on your love for that game, right? Like if you're a huge fan of the Doom series, like I know Nick is, he doesn't give a shit, right? He's gonna play it on Bethesda, especially like at launch or whatever. Same thing with like Fallout 76 was like trash though, and it still is, but that's whatever. Couldn't find a nice way to put that. Like I wanted to be a little bit gentle, but you know what? No, you guys have screwed it up.
We're not gentle here, come on now.
Yeah, we are not Fallout 76 fans.
No, we are not.
But like, yeah, and I like it. I like that they were just like, yeah, we're closing up shop here. And it's like, you didn't need it. Like you didn't, like I said, like I just said, you would have probably had more people playing your game. And honestly, probably would have been a bit longer lifespan for some of them, depending on how they are right now. Like, it's just like, yeah, people when you load up, imagine that where it's like, that's a great example where it's like, if honestly, if Red Dead 2 was in my Steam library, I'd probably play it more. But I don't, because I half the time
Out
I
of
often
sight, out
forget
of
I even
mind.
have the launcher. Yeah, I forget I even have it. So same thing with Bethesda, where it's like, I never finished Doom Eternal, and then at one point where it's like my like friends would go, "Have you finished it yet?" It's like, no, and they're like, "Well, play it." And I'm like, "I don't have it," and they're like, "What do you mean you don't have it?" I'm like, "It's not on my Steam library." They're like, "It's on Bethesda launcher." I'm like, "Well, that's why I don't play it,
Right.
because I forget that I even have the launcher. I don't even know if I have it installed."
I
I'm gonna
will
look right now.
say, from like a
I do
business
not.
standpoint, it makes sense,
Okay.
right? Why they do it, because then they
Sure.
don't have to pay out for being on Steam, like whatever that
Yeah,
percentage is. I
whatever
don't
Steam
remember
charges.
anymore, right?
I think it's 30.
It makes
It's 30% or something like that. Yeah.
It makes sense, but at the same time, like this in my mind is great to see, and I'm sure part of this has to do with the Xbox acquisition, right? Like that is why
I'm
this
sure
is
it does.
happening. I'm sure Xbox is like, well, people can just download it from the Xbox app, especially if they have Game Pass, or pretty much only if they have Game Pass, I guess. But
Yeah.
because that weird like moment of Xbox doing that. I can't remember what they had. They had a name for it where you bought it on Xbox, but you also owned it on PC too. I don't remember
It
what
was
that
Play
was.
Anywhere.
Yeah, Play Anywhere.
I think it was Play Anywhere, because I
like
have
kind of
that.
died
Yeah.
out quietly, which was weird.
I mean, yeah, because most people are going to stick to whatever, or yeah, because it was like if you played it, if you got a game through Game Pass and you played it on your Xbox, and then you got a PC and you wanted to play it on PC, you could go and have all your saved data from Xbox right there, so you can just
Right.
continue where you left off, which is cool. That's awesome, super helpful. But I mean, as an example, somebody who only plays on PC really, and I pay for Game Pass, but just for PC,
Yeah.
like there's no real issue there. Like I don't really have a problem with it. So.
I
But
assume
I
what
can understand it for
happened.
the people who do both.
I assume what happened there is they were pretty much only doing the Play Anywhere titles with first party titles, and then once they rolled out Game Pass, I think they just were like, "Hey, get Game Pass Ultimate instead," and then you have it both places. Because I have not seen any. I don't think I've seen any more titles that have been Play Anywhere titles. So interesting stuff. But next up, we have the news that Call of Duty is going to be pushing their game for 2023 back, it looks like.
Yeah.
Not anything too crazy here, just kind of a brief mention more so. I will note that according to some of the releases and the conversations that they've had so far, they have said that they will still be supporting the agreements that they had with PlayStation, which I mean, up through the acquisition, and then after that still kind of hazy at this point, but I do believe that 2023 or through 2023 or maybe 2024 is all that they currently have in agreement with PlayStation. So pushing that back a year may take that game out of that envelope, or maybe they'll still have to release that because it was a game they had originally agreed to. But I am happy to see Call of Duty take a year off. That will be very, very good. Hopefully this next Call of Duty game is good enough to last 2 years, because Vanguard does not seem to have nearly the steam that a lot of the other Call of Duty games have had, especially not like a Modern Warfare or even Cold War, which Cold War was not my favorite, but yeah,
story was good, but that's it.
Yeah.
For me anyway. Like, yeah, story was good, but I really couldn't care less about anything else.
Yeah, that's right. So what this really means, I don't know. What this is really going to bring out, I don't really know. I don't even think it's been officially announced by Activision. This is just by people within the industry that have been saying this. So, okay, cool. I will get another Call of Duty in 2024. And probably one still this year. I believe that was Treyarch's game that was getting pushed back, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, who just made the last one? That was Sledgehammer. World War II.
The Vanguard one.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, that should have been Sledgehammer, and Ravensoft has been working on Warzone. But yeah. Because we would have had Infinity Ward, Treyarch.
Yeah, would be this year,
and then this should have. This next one should, or Vanguard should have been Sledgehammer. So we should be back to Infinity Ward, or no? Infinity Ward pushed theirs forward, didn't they? Wasn't Vanguard
I read
Infinity
something
Ward because it's built on the same frame or the same bones as Modern Warfare. Are you looking it up?
I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
But I was reading something today when I saw that they were pushing the 2023 COD back. That Sledgehammer made it. They made Vanguard. I was reading something about how they were continuing with the timeline though of Warzone 2 and whatever the Infinity Ward was for this year. They were keeping those, but they were pushing the new one or the 2023 one back, is what I read.
Correct.
Which is like Infinity Ward, I'll say, did a great job with Modern Warfare though.
Yeah.
The first one, or the 2018s, it was good. Story was good. Graphics are great. Like I'm still impressed at a lot of the things I see when I play it here from time to time. The gunplay, the animations, the sounds, graphically looks great. I mean, it's just got that Call of Duty feel to it, which is why I don't really dip into it too much. But so I'm hoping that so this should be like in Modern Warfare 2 essentially. Like this is supposed to be a continuation, which is still confusing to me how they make all this work together. None of it makes sense. Where it's like they've got Warzone, and Warzone has gone to, it was Modern Warfare, then it was 1983 and Cold War, and now it's in World War II Vanguard, and it's all over the place. So it's like it's really weird, especially because they scrapped it almost. Where Modern Warfare came out, and then Warzone came out, and then the story of Verdansk of the Warzone map followed or mirrored every time they released new characters or new content updates, right? So like you had Zakayev showed up in like Warzone stuff, and like that was the reason why it was nuked. But then it's like they nuked it, and my dad cracked up with this. He's like, I understand that they're doing it because they're they're a game developer, so they're just like kind of refreshing everything. But he's like, it's really not that refresh when everything just has an 80s makeover. Right. He's like, the map or the mall's still in the same spot, except it's just got different, advertisements or different things up on top. The supermarket's the same, except it's all 80s themed. So he's like, it really makes no difference. And it's like, that's the weird thing where it's like, so he nuked Verdansk just to go back to the 80s? I mean, like, you could probably just watch Top Gun and get the same feel, my guy, like, or Back to the Future. Like, you could just do the same thing. And then, then they went and did, now it's all World War II. It's on an island and all that kind of stuff. So it's weird how they're doing that. But, I read that they were keeping this one this year and then Warzone 2, whatever that is. And then, they're pushing back Treyarch's, which is understandable because, I mean, Vanguard was good in the sense that the story was decent. Cold War was good because the story was decent. And then Infinity or Modern Warfare was good, I think, in most aspects. Like, multiplayer was fun. Campaign was good, especially because it was bringing back... I mean, you got to look at it from that perspective, too, of Modern Warfare 2018 brought back the best characters from Call of Duty. Yeah. They brought back the best. So that's different, right?
Soap was in there, wasn't he?
No. Soap is in, I think, one of the DLCs, not in the game, or he's mentioned, or he's like an end credits thing
somewhere in there.
Just kind of like as a nod, but he wasn't like because whoever you play, I can't remember his name,
Alex,
but he's in. Alex is the guy from Cold War. Alex Mason. He's the Black Ops guy.
Yeah,
Kyle Gaz is his name in Modern Warfare. The MI6 or the SAS guy that you play as.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I was talking about the dude that like
the Troy Baker looking guy.
Yeah.
He comes back in the multiplayer with he's got the artificial legs or whatever. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. So he's back in it, and then so like I'm interested to see what they do in terms of the story for that. But I mean, I like that they pushed it back too.
If any game could carry the weight between that, it would be a Modern Warfare game. To be perfectly honest,
I would say that too.
I feel like Infinity Ward really at this point should pretty much handle multiplayer, and Treyarch should handle zombies, and then you can put Sledgehammer on like an entire different series and let them do something else. Not that their games are inherently worse, but I just feel like the other two studios have really focused in on what they specialize in. And then I think from there you would be able to have like Ravensoft still working on Warzone, and
yeah.
hopefully not make it like right now it's just a mess. There's too much going on with like all the different games implemented into it, and like I don't care for
game
how
modes
they've done
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah. Like
yeah, I agree.
3 different like completely drastically different eras of guns in one thing is just bizarre. But
yeah,
I feel like Sledgehammer hasn't really found their groove as far as what they specialize in, and once they are fully acquired by Xbox, I feel like they could go on to do something else, right? They could go on. There's a bit of room to. Cool.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up though. Is I felt that a lot of the Sledgehammer games have been very good in terms of their stories. Like World War II was great.
Yeah,
like World War II has arguably one of my favorite stories. I will actually consistently, like once a year, I'll go back and I'll play through, World War II's campaign. And that's the only real kind of shitty thing about it, is that it's just Call of Duty gameplay, right? Yeah. It's like if I could just kind of watch the cutscenes, but like they did a great job with that, where they brought in everything, right? Where you had a sort of Normandy D-Day style landing, and then they went through Europe, they went through like, I can't remember, the Hurtgen Forest during the Battle of the Bulge, all that kind of stuff, or they were at the Battle of the Bulge, all that kind of stuff. And then one of the main characters is kidnapped, or not kidnapped, but he's taken prisoner, and they find out that he's Jewish, and he gets sent to a concentration camp, and then you find him at the end of the game. And it's like it's heartfelt, right? It covers kind of all those little bases in terms of like you have the beginning, you have the terrible like horrors of war, and finding a friend of yours who has been just completely destroyed by what the Nazis did. So like I felt like it covered a lot of things, and it was really good in that sense, and it was only brought down because it was just standard. It's standard Call of Duty gameplay, right? Where they're telling such a great story, but then everything is just intercut with shoot these 50 bad guys while they try and push your trench in, and then like, okay, well now we move on to the next part, right? Like it just doesn't. And then they did have some things that kind of bothered me as a historical aspect, like where they just had like here's a trench shotgun with dragon's breath rounds. It's like I don't think they had dragon's breath rounds at this point in time. Like, or like but that just it bothers me just because I'm a World War II guy, so I like that kind of accuracy. But I mean, I thought they did a great job. Vanguard was a good story, but it wasn't crazy. Like it was good, but it wasn't like a fantastic. It was way out there, I'd say. It was really like almost like a Mission Impossible kind of thing, where it was just every character is really unique in one way, and like they're super badass, and like that kind of doesn't. I like just to see the normal story of somebody. Cold War had a good story. I'll give them that. Like I like the choices that not that they make a fucking difference, but like I like that they had a bit of a couple twists at the end.
Right.
That was cool. And then Modern Warfare just had a pretty decent story overall, aside from a couple things here and there. But they did a good job. And I mean, I agree with you though. I think that if they're going to push back Treyarch's, the only game that could really carry it would be another Modern Warfare.
And I feel like with Xbox acquiring Activision, I feel like they're going to probably make their Call of Duty games, but I think they're going to space them out a little bit more. And I don't think they're going to have all 4 studios working on solely Call of Duty. I understand that's a huge staple of it, but I think they can get 2 years out of a solid Call of Duty game and be okay. Right. And then still have like a Warzone type thing, or Warzone 2 or whatever it may be. That just
continuously gets updated and goes on, right? But then all the games can have a little bit more time. I agree. It
seems like, having 4 studios all working on Call of Duty, like let them go on to do something else. Let them do something, which I think under the Xbox umbrella they will be able to do, hopefully. And I feel like Sledgehammer is kind of that not odd man out, but in a way, like I obviously Treyarch has mastered zombies. That is their thing. That is their baby. That's what they do best. And I feel like I enjoy Infinity Ward's multiplayer the most. So, I mean, Sledgehammer seems like the likely thing to take off and do some other sort of FPS, or if they wanted to go after an entirely different genre, fuck it, let them. You have Xbox's backing at this point. Let them do something cool.
To go on with what you just said, especially about Sledgehammer, I was almost certain of this, but I wanted to make sure just so that I had everything right.
Yeah.
The guys who created Sledgehammer Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey. They worked at Visceral and created Dead Space.
Yeah.
The guys who created Dead Space made Call of Duty Vanguard.
Yeah, which is wild.
Like what the like look at what they did before.
Right.
And like now look at what they've kind of almost been shoehorned into. I'm sure I don't know, I'm not going to speak for them, but I don't know if they love what they're doing or they don't, but I mean, like, you guys have such a great history, right? Like you guys have this experience and you've made fantastic games. Arguably you will be remembered for Dead Space more than you will for Call of Duty Vanguard or you know, Call of Duty World War II. And like, that's not to say those games are bad. They're not perfect, they're not terrible games or anything like that. I've only played Dead Space a couple of times because I'm not a scary game kind of guy. I like the furthest I go is Resident Evil. Like that's just typically where I sit in. Yeah, like I can't really do, and in terms of like body horror, like the necromorphs, I'm just not I don't get grossed out by it. It's just kind of more of a thing of like, I can deal with a couple of vampires or like, you know, big vampire mommy. I can't really deal with something crawling out of the vent that's got what appears to be 2 legs and 4 arms, but all the arms are blades. Yeah, like
fair enough.
I can't really do it. I like, my brain gets overloaded. It's like, what do I shoot? Like
all of it.
I don't know
just
what.
All of it.
Yeah, just decimate everything.
Burn it with fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
So
yeah,
for our final topic, we need to get this wrapped up so Nick can finally go and play Elden Ring before he loses his mind.
I know.
Thanks for watching.
I told him.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to touch on the Cuphead show. We don't have to go super deep into it, but I know you watched it and I watched it, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity because I also know Jeff doesn't have Netflix anymore, so he did not watch it. So this is perfect that we could actually sit down and talk about this. We won't spoil anything. Not that there's really much to spoil. It's like watching Looney Tunes in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your initial thoughts on? Well, not even initial thoughts. What are your overall thoughts on the Cuphead show? How you feel?
So I started watching it when it came out because I think Nick made a post about it on Twitter. I loved it. I started watching it right away. I fell in love with obviously the art style. I loved the beginnings of the show. I liked like the intro, and then I loved the sort of this old timey thing where it shows like the name of the episode, and then it's got like all the little things down at the bottom of like in conjunction with Netflix Studios, like but it was all in this old time format, you know, 1930s, 40s, like Looney Tunes era. I loved it, and then I heard the you know, Cuphead and Mugman talking, and I love that first episode where they go to the carnival, and it's just like it's the little things in the background, right? Like the static characters, like that don't move at all. I loved that, you know, and I loved a lot of the other interesting things. Like there's a scene later in the episode, or one of the episodes, where, I mean, again, like you said, we're not really spoiling anything because it's Looney Tunes, right? Like, you know, it's stuff that happens in the episode does not particularly carry on in that way.
There's like
there's a
one
scene,
broad thing, but it's the same basis as the story to some extent. So or to the game. So it's not like it's
so it's not crazy
here.
But Mugman, I think, loses his handle. Yeah, and I remember watching it and I'm cracking up because I'm watching another cup show him different handles, and he's just critiquing them with like too industrial, too feminine, too this. Like he's just like, he's got all these different answers for things, and I'm losing it because I'm watching a cup try to help another cup with his handle, and that was the whole. I remember Elder Kettle comes in and he talks. It's a whole euphemism for like your body changing. Right. And I was cracking up because I'm watching it, you know, and I'm just like, this is so absurd, but it's so good. Like, I love the humor. Like I said, the voice acting is spot on. Like, it's great. And then it's got this great, it's a way to detach, you know, there's not a whole lot of real world stuff you get in from it, right? There's not a whole lot of undertones that are related to anything going on in the real world, which is nice. It's a good escape. You're watching two cups just have the time of their lives. Yeah. Like, and be absolute idiots. Just morons. Be fools. Yeah. And Cuphead is so stupid. Cuphead is incredibly dumb. Like Mugman is so the smarter of the two. Not that that's saying a lot, but no, but he's definitely like, it's funny, you know, he's making him an invisible sweater. Like, you know, just these, they get to go and play or go to their favorite game show with King Dice. And it's just like, he's so stupid, but he's just avoiding all of King Dice's ways to get him into the secret room. Like,
Yeah.
Watching the devil have like a terrible party because some dick basically is just like, actually, you haven't gotten all the souls.
Actually.
Yeah, he's literally that guy where I'm watching him. Yeah, he's always got his glasses pushed up. He's always got one finger like, hold on. It's good. I love it. It's I haven't finished the show yet. I want to. Hilariously enough, I told my family, like, we're gonna watch this as a family, because the last show we all watched together was Stranger Things season 1.
Okay, yeah.
So we haven't watched a full show together, and I was like, we're gonna watch this. They're 15-minute episodes. There's 12. We could finish it in a day. Like, let's do it. Shit you not. My brother goes, no, I don't want to watch it. My sister goes, that sounds stupid. I don't want to watch it. Yesterday, I get to Grand Rapids. I'm talking to my mom, and she goes, you know what Grace texted me? My sister, she texted me, and she goes, so this Cuphead show's on Netflix. I think we should watch it. And my mom texted her back in all caps. She goes, that's the show Evan was trying to get you to watch. And she goes,
oh, I don't want to watch it now.
Yeah, she goes, oh. And I was like, yeah, you're an ass. Like, I was like, this is good. We should all watch it. But yeah, no, my parents loved it. They were walking by and they just were mesmerized. Yeah. It's nostalgia.
Oh, absolutely.
It reminds me of Popeye, reminds me of, Looney Tunes and all their classic cartoons that they watched. And I love seeing that because I can see the look on their faces.
Right.
Where they're like, oh, this takes me back. You know, this takes me back to watching cartoons in the early or late 70s, early 80s, and it's cool to see that response to them. Because, I mean, even I have some of those moments where it's like, it reminds me of watching the old Scooby-Doo cartoons, like the really old ones. So, yeah, it gets like a 9 out of 10 for me. Like, I really have loved it so far. Yeah.
So I'm not quite old enough to watch some of those shows like as they were coming out or anything, or even like the first version of the reruns of them. But I did watch a ton of Looney Tunes growing up, and a lot of like, oh God, I can't even think of what they used to call it. It was on Cartoon Network, but when they would do like the throwback stuff, I used to watch a ton of that.
I can't remember.
Completely drawing a blank, but so I have a real soft spot for that style of animation and just kind of that slapstick humor, like nothing special going on, just humorous, like very just on the surface level of just fun, right? And that's the way I kind of described it, was like to my wife when I was telling her about it. I was like, it's like watching Looney Tunes, like shit blows up for no fucking reason, or like just random things like that. But I love all of the callbacks to the game, and like, some of the bosses show up in different things. And
King Dice and the Ribby and Toad, or Ribby and Croak or whatever. Like they show up, and
the vegetables.
The vegetables showed up. That was a great episode. I love they convinced the devil to paint the fence.
Which was,
and then they just
fantastic.
And he's like, he paints all these different colors, and it comes back white when he's done with like using his powers. Then he's like, where'd they go? And he follows the paint trail of their footsteps to a ride.
Right.
And then he's like, let me have your soul. And they don't know. He forgets that he doesn't have or they don't know that he doesn't have the invisible sweater on. So Cuphead cracks him up while they wait to get on the ride. And then Mugman shows up. It's just right there with the slapstick humor. It's all on the surface. You don't like, it's almost like when you were talking about when you played Lost Ark and you're just able to turn your brain off. Same thing. Like, you don't have to think too hard. You just sit back and enjoy it and have a good time and enjoy like what Cuphead and Mugman get up to this episode.
I regret watching it by myself, though. I wish it would have been something that I watched with like the whole family, and something good to just kind of sit down. Again, it's like 15-minute episodes. We could have knocked out quite a few very short. Of them. I think I knocked out the entire thing in a couple days. But I wish I would have sat down and watched it with the kids. I don't think I got nearly as much enjoyment out of it just watching it myself, just because it is something I feel like I would have enjoyed more, seeing how the kids reacted to it and things like that. Not saying I didn't enjoy it, because I absolutely adored it. It was fantastic. It was great. But it also felt like something I should have been enjoying with the kids, and something I tried to. I was like, hey, you guys should watch this on Netflix, and they're like, we'd rather watch YouTubers, and you're like, okay, cool, never mind.
Whatever.
That's fine, whatever.
Well, Dad, they're like, Dad just wants to watch his old shows, because I mean, right, you look at it and you're like, it's old. Like, I mean, it looks old. I mean, even granted it's on Netflix, but like, that's actually.
They do know what Cuphead is, though, so they are aware that it is new and
sure,
and things like
yeah.
that. But
and that's actually the same reason as to why I wanted to get my family to watch it, was because my brother and sister, I've hilariously, I'm obviously joking, but I've given up hope. Like, my sister's just gonna watch whatever YouTuber she watches. My brother's gonna watch anime, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I can't convince them to watch. I'll never get my brother to watch The Sopranos. I'll never get him to watch Mad Men. I'll never get him to watch Peaky Blinders. Like, he'll watch comic book shows, he'll watch anime, and all of that's fine. But like, I do want to convince him at some point to watch a bit more of those dramatic shows, just because, so he kind of, I think it's important if you're going to be watching TV and stuff like that, just to kind of know what the greats are in a way.
Absolutely.
Like just to know the history of certain things. Same thing with like, he never wants to watch any sort of movie that isn't about superheroes, right? I've tried to get him to watch Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs or any Quentin Tarantino movie, or even The Departed, because that's, I feel like, some of the most accessible Martin Scorsese stuff. Goodfellas is probably easier, honestly, but I tried to get him to watch this stuff, and he's just, my brother and sister are not about it. I remember I begged for months just to get them to watch Baby Driver.
Oh, really?
And my sister was the most against it. She sat there and watched it. She fucking fell in love. She was like, this is awesome. She's like, everything's synced up. She's like, the beats and the gunshots go together. His footsteps running match up. I'm like, yes, because that's what happens when people make movies that they really care about. And that's where I wanted to get them to, I wanted my family to watch Cuphead, because I wanted to see the nostalgic look on my parents' faces. Yeah. Watching that. I told Nick this story, and I'll tell it too. I was watching a Beatles documentary called 8 Days a Week by Ron Howard. So it was older or younger Beatles. So it was like when they were, mop tops and just playing the love songs and stuff like that. And they were playing a song, and my mom's not a big fan of the Beatles. My dad loves them. My dad loves the Beatles, or specifically Paul McCartney. He really likes them, but he likes just the music. And they were playing some love song. I think it was All My Loving or something like that. And my dad and mom started dancing in the living room to it because they loved it. Or like, it was just a funny little heartfelt moment. It was nostalgic because he'd heard it growing up, and I'm sure my mom did. And it's one of those things where it's like, you get so much enjoyment out of things like that. Like, for people seeing it the first time, right? Like my brother and sister watching a TV show, or your kids watching Cuphead for the first time, even though they already know what it is, but seeing it as a show format, which is what it was, inspired by, like those older shows, that's huge. Seeing that is huge, and the look, like the impact of what it does to younger people and people who've never seen it before. And then it's almost tenfold when somebody who already kind of knows that feeling gets a nostalgic moment or a memory that comes to the surface, reminding them of it, So that was why I wanted to get my family to watch it, just because I'd love to see the same thing where it's like, you'd want to see the, the looks on your kid faces as they react to it. Yeah. Same thing where I want to watch my parents react and go, oh, it reminds me of an episode of Popeye, or, that sounds like a good episode from Looney Tunes or Scooby-Doo or something like that, and that's the real power, I think, of that show, is like, it's already good in its own sense, but you have all this nostalgic callback to older things that really captivates people, and then it's good for kids, so it's good for everybody. Yep. So yeah, no, I really loved it.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, I do want to just fully give it my recommendation, especially if you have kids, or even if you don't. It's fantastic. If you've never played the game, it's still very fun to go down that memory lane type of deal. And
you don't need to pay. Yeah, you don't need to play to know it, the kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Most people have Netflix, so I mean, except for Jeff.
Yeah.
Except for Jeff.
Yeah, except for Jeff. Except for Jeff. My buddy Will doesn't have it either. So yeah, Will and Jeff don't have Netflix, but everybody else in the world should.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on and hanging out and listening to me already not complain about Elden Ring, just be like, man, I got trapped already. But thank you so much for joining us.
Always happy to be here.
If you like the show, you should definitely go check out our network, which is Spawn Camp Network or Spawn Camp Co. on both Twitter and Instagram. We usually are reposting things, adding to our story for all of our different shows. This week we've been doing a show spotlight. That way we could kind of explain what each show is and kind of introduce some new people to some new stuff, hopefully. And Diggity should be the last one tomorrow, since we've already featured everybody else. if you liked Diggity specifically, you can go follow us on Twitter at Diggity Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Diggity Podcast. If you like other gaming news, you can follow WASD and get some gaming news there. If you want some Gunpla and anime news, and just very funny stuff, those guys are great. You can go follow Build Bros at Build Bros _ MI.
On Twitter, it's just Bill Bros MI, no underscore.
Okay.
I was just looking.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody, once you go to add it, it's like, oh, well, it's taken here, but not here, and it gets complicated.
Yeah,
I need to get a good copy of all that stuff for sure. And if you want just some off-topic, just crazy, batshit insane, all over the place topics and news. I mean, last week we talked for 45 minutes about OnlyFans and then went into serious topics for another 45 minutes. You need to go check out OBO, or Objectively Bad Opinions. That is our WASD and Diggity love child. That is just absolutely so much fun to do and probably therapeutic, I would say, at least for Nick, if nothing else.
Really. Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys listening and or watching us, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.